Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Milwaukee. It is the home of Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar. Rich, Randy, Marshall, here with you at the news desk, setting the scene for what should be a great day of competition. It's the middle day. We came in with 367 players on day one. We're down to 230 on day two. By the end of today, there'll be 8. Randy, what stood out on day one for you?
The blue-black Aristocrats deck. Christian Calcano showed this off on camera a couple of times. Deck is sweet.
Okay, you should tell people what it is and does.
Well, sure. I mean, we saw a lot of what we were expecting. We saw, your Jeskai, your green-white Megamorph, your Tarka Red, but Team Target and Calcano in particular showed up with this deck where it's the Nantuko Husk, and he's just eats everything. Nantuko Husk, they're splashing blue. It's kind of like the Rally the Ancestor decks from last year, except it's blue-black. Whirler Rogue can come down, make a couple of guys, give the Nantuko Husk unblockability, and then the Husk eats everything. All of the guys that just did him such a favor, making him unblockable, just kill people out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's just was awesome to watch.
Yeah, it's actually quite funny to watch. It's like, and everything disappears.
But it looks real. Like, 75% of those guys made it to day 2.
Yeah.
The deck, we're going to get to see some more of it today. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to get a deck tech on that because it is very intricate and really great fun. Marshall, how about your day one?
Well, the thing that stands out for me was in the draft portion. We had a couple of really nice plays, but the one that really jumped out to me was crazy, was Ken Yukihiro. And in one turn, he plays Zada Hedron Grinder, which is like a medium playable unlimited. It's fine, you can put it in your deck.
3/3 Hill Giant,
A 3/3 Hill Giant, yeah.
A bunch of words
with
on
some
it
upside.
that never do
ally.
anything.
Yeah, she's an ally. Earthen Arms. Target my Zada. Put 2+1 counters on each of my creatures, but he wasn't done there. Attacked with everything, also had Swell of Growth. Put in a land, trigger a landfall, pump everything up, and hit his opponent down from like 24 to 3 or something like that in one fell swoop. It was awesome.
Yeah, Zada Hedron Grinder. Yeah,
limited all-star question mark? It's like, that's not what I expected to see, but I blinked and all of a sudden there was this massive board for Ken and he was rumbling for a lot of damage.
All right, well, I mentioned that this is day 2 of 3. Randy, let's walk people through the schedule, what we've already seen, what we're going to see.
Yeah, this is the halfway point in terms of the Swiss rounds, the way you qualify for top 8. We had 8 rounds yesterday. We're going to run it back. Start with the 3 rounds of booster draft. That's one pod. Somebody 3-0s, somebody 0-3s. They just play each other within the pod for those 3 rounds. And then we go to standard. The last 5 rounds of the day will be standard constructed. By the end of that, we'll pick our top 8, and those are the ones that'll come back tomorrow.
Okay, and the final, you see at the bottom there, finals is best of 5. So you have to win 3 games, lots of sideboard action. So we're going to focus in more on sideboards as we narrow the field and get a sense of what new standard is looking like. All right, Marshall, our scoring system is relatively straightforward.
You gave me the easy one.
That's why we let you tell everyone what it does.
So if you win the match, you get 3 points. Those add up over the course of the tournament. If you get a draw, you only get 1. And a loss, of course, nets you big fat 0.
Yeah, and Randy, draws, generally speaking, very bad news.
Yeah, points vanish from the system when there's an unintentional draw. So
okay, as your best guess for making top 8 tonight, anything above 12 wins, you're in great shape. So 12 wins will be 36 points. Add another one, you're at 39. Put a draw in somewhere, you're at 37. That's good news. 12 and 4, 12 wins, 4 losses, 36 points. That's where we get into Tiebreak Math, which is basically a combination of all your opponents ever at the tournament and how they did to give a sort of strength of schedule kind of idea, right?
Yeah, 12 and 4 doesn't typically make the top 8, but this Pro Tour, there were a couple fewer invites, so it's a little bit smaller than we've seen recently, and I think somebody at 12-4 may manage to sneak in.
Yeah, it would not surprise me at all. All right, now what about, what are people playing for, Randy? Because we have multiple sort of streams of awesome. We have cash. And we have points.
Absolutely. You see the money there, $250,000 spread out, especially amongst the top 8 players, but all the way down to 75th. And then those pro points are crucial. That's what all these players want to accumulate. Because the first Pro Tour of the season, you want to get towards silver, gold, platinum Pro Club levels. And they made a nice change that kicked in for this new season, actually. 27 points, so that's a 9-7 record, right? You came to the Pro Tour, you did better than 500. You now do get an extra pro point for that 27-point threshold. And then the 28 and 29s got ticked up to 5 points now as just a minor change, but I think a good one.
Right, and it is super hard to get a positive record at the PT. Marshall, Never mind getting a positive record, just being here is a real challenge. How can people qualify and be with us next time around?
Well, we live in a beautiful world right now. There's a lot of different ways to get here. Let's take a look at some of them here. You know, the most straightforward way for most players is going to be to win an RPTQ, a Regional Pro Tour qualifier, which you can see here. Also, a great finish at a Grand Prix will get you there. 39 match points or greater at a GP, so when that rolls into your town, hit that up, you put together a good run, you can find yourself here at the Pro Tour. You can get 33 match points at a previous Pro Tour, so that's kind of the threshold to stay, we call it on the train, to keep the thing rolling along if you get to 33 at the PT. And of course, if you happen to be at that gold or platinum level, or if you have the one silver invite, that'll get you coming back to the PT. And the easiest way, of course, is just getting voted into the Hall of Fame.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so the players are almost ready. Why don't we take a look at our overnight leaderboard, show you how things stand as we come into day 2. Now, lots of you had to work Friday. We're very sorry you missed us, but we are gearing up for the rounds that really count here on Saturday. Let's take a look at our overall leaderboard, and we have one perfect record, and it is Eric Severson of the United States. He has a losing draft record in Premier Play to date. But obviously, he 3-0'd his pod yesterday morning. He is in with a heck of a field on day 2. Guillaume Merriam, Christian Calcano, PVDDR, Matt Sperling, Yuta Takahashi, Jacob Wilson, and Reed Duke. Well, the players are sitting ready for the first draft of the morning, and we are going to see one of the great superstars of our game from Brazil. Every pick live. Here comes Paulo Vitor Damo Da Rosa.
Thanks, Rich. Ian Duke, Brian David Marshall here in the booth, ready to show you the draft as these guys go towards their top 8. The reason I say that, top 8s are on my brain. Paulo Vitor Damo Da Rosa has 9 career Pro Tour top 8s. He's 7-1, in great shape for his 10th. That is twice what people consider a slam dunk for the Hall of Fame. Of course, he is already in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, truly just a still going a legend of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Youngest player to amass his pro point total. He's just spectacular. Had a little bit of a slump there for about a year and a half. Back half of last year, he was ready to go. Let's take a look at the table that he's going to be drafting at. There you see him over on the lower left. He's going to be feeding a countryman, Guillermo Merjam, Jacob Wilson, Reed Duke, who you know well, Christian Calcano, Matthew Sperling, top 24th ranked player, Yuta Takahashi, Eric Severson, the only 8-0 at this table. Everyone here 7-1, and of course the Hall of Famer Paulo Vitor Damo Da Rosa. What are you thinking here as you're looking at this table?
Well, it's pretty interesting. I mean, Paulo's being fed from the right by Eric Severson. He 3-0'd his first draft pod, so hopefully he'll get some good signals there.
All right, let's see what those signals are. We're ready to go down to the floor and watch Paulo Vitor Damo Da Rosa draft. Hello and welcome to the start of day 2 here at Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar. I'm Brian David Marshall. I'm joined in the booth by R&D member Ian Duke, and we are going to watch Hall of Famer Paulo Vitor Damo Da Rosa draft Battle for Zendikar with a 7-1 record, looking to make his 10th top 8 of his Pro Tour career. And we are underway here. And looks like he's got a Smite the Monstrous. Was that a Nettle Drone? Oh, Retreat to Emeria. That was a card that was very much a debate on the floor today about whether or not that was actually the best white uncommon. Coming in, a lot of people had it at Stasis Snare.
Yeah, all the retreats have been pretty heavily debated. Nothing stands out to me as like a clear first pick above the rest here. I think Retreat to Emeria is good.
The rare in the
Drone
pack
is
was
solid.
Allied Hedron Network, but he took the Nettle Drone.
Yeah, I think that's a fine opening pick. It's a really powerful card, a card that lets you build around it a lot, and it's early in, obviously beginning of the draft, so he has plenty of opportunity to develop some synergies with that Nettle Drone.
Ugin's Insight. There.
Ugin's Insight I like quite a bit, and I do like blue-red. We've seen a lot of players gravitate toward that. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the pick here.
There you see what it does. What are you trying to do if you go into a blue-red deck?
Well, I'm hoping to get Devoid synergies first and foremost. Ugin's Insight, not a Devoid card, but just a strong card drawing spell.
It just draws you more Devoid cards.
Yeah, this is the kind of the more controlling of the Devoid decks, I would say. You can get a little bit of ingest process going, but not really necessary, strictly. Stone Fury, a nice solid removal spell. You can take out almost any creature in the format.
Yeah, I actually that card's gone up quite a bit for me over the weekend. I thought I had Touch of the Void over it. I don't know if I do anymore. What do you think about that?
Well, instant speed is really huge here. I mean, if you leave up 5 mana, planning to kill something, you want to be able to react to what your opponent's doing and, not walk into a combat trick or something.
Looks like he's not...
Oh, did he go for the Fire Mantle Mage there?
I think he did, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, he went for the McKindy Slide Runner.
Oh, that's interesting. That indicates to me he really prioritizes 2-drops. I think all 3 of those cards are close there, but going for the cheap 2-drop landfall creatures seems like he wants to be a little bit more of an aggressive deck with the curve.
And then gets a late Rising Miasma here and is thinking, well, maybe that's a signal.
Yeah. Rising Miasma, kind of the Infest variant of the set here. Still very powerful, even at 4 mana. And yeah, I think that's the clear pick from that pack.
Is that a card you always start in draft, or is that a card you always want, but maybe sometimes it starts in your sideboard?
I think I would always start it. I mean, you can make a case for not starting Infest sometimes, but the fact that this also has Awaken just gives it that much extra value.
And there's a Catacomb Sifter. There's a Valakut Predator, and now he's like, okay, what are we doing here?
Is that a Valakut Predator or Valakut Invoker?
Oh, sorry, Valakut Invoker, yes.
Yeah,
right.
that's a card I like quite a bit. It's nice for filling out your curve.
Well, especially you want to play like 18, 19 lands even sometimes in this format, and you really want something to do with that land late in the game. Yeah, he's like, you know what? Green-black is open. I'm going to take the Catacomb Sifter.
This is really interesting to me. He's really reading the signals here. I mean, switching into black for that Rising Miasma and now seeing a multicolor uncommon and just kind of willing to roll with it. I like that a lot.
He's like, I'm going to be the first person to pull the trigger on this.
I mean, if you think about it, he's only giving up a Nettle Drone and a McKindy Slide Runner, which are, solid commons, but...
Oh, wow, there's a Calastria Healer in this pack. That's a card that has definitely gone up, but it's Spell Shrivel that he takes. So the basically a double miscalculation in terms of how much you have to pay.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't seen players prioritizing that card quite that high in some of their pick orders, but it seems like Paulo likes it quite a bit.
Looking at Wavewing Elemental and Tajira Beastmaster. Takes the Elemental. So, Landfall Flyer. A little more expensive and a little less good than a Guardian of Tazim.
Yeah, it's a powerful win condition, though. I mean, attacking for 5 in the air is certainly no joke. Shatterskull Recruit there, if he wants to continue with the red cards that he picked early.
Yeah, I mean, he speculated on black-green. It wasn't really at the cost of anything else in those packs.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe thinking that he's getting cut a little bit on blue-red.
Belligerent Whiptail is solid playable, not something you're super excited to have, but, rounds out the curve just fine.
I am actually pretty belligerent about that card. I know that it is playable. I just always hate playing it. I think it's very aptly named. Oh, there's a Tajira Stalwart. I like that card a lot.
Yeah, I do too. And I find myself actually most often playing it in the Teamer color combination. And that might be something that, Paul is thinking about here.
There's a nice sideboard card, Boiling Earth.
Yeah, that's a great sideboard card. Clears away Eldrazi Scion, among other things.
Paulo does not look happy with how this pack has gone,
Yeah,
though.
It's a little bit of a mishmash so far. I think...
Take the Devastator.
Yep. Just a solid big creature you can play in any deck if you need.
All right. And then rounding out...
Yeah, it looked like he opened up with not an amazing pack, took a couple solid playable red commons, saw some signals, tried to move into black, maybe black-green, but that didn't really pan out, and back into red a little bit. So, yeah, I would not be super happy if I were Paulo in this position right now. But that said, he's got 2 more packs to make something of it, and if he does go into blue-red, he's got plenty of playables already. If he opens a strong rare in another color, it's still possible he might move back into black or something along those lines.
Maybe. And again, you'll see people splashing a lot in this format. I've seen a lot more 3-color decks in this draft format than I think I've seen in the last 3 draft formats. Cons excluded.
Yeah, that is very true. And the Converge cards can reward that too. So sometimes you have a draft that's not going that well. You end up just playing multicolor.
Right. You open up a Radiant Flames and everything's good.
Yep. I have salvaged many a train wreck that way myself.
Wait, do you believe this? No, seriously.
Is that it? Wow.
He opened a Radiant Flames.
Called shot.
And an Emeria Shepherd.
Wow, that's a powerful card too, but white is the one color he has none of so far. I think that Radiant Flames is getting slammed right here. What do you think, BDM?
You have to take the Radiant Flames.
And once you've taken that, I wonder if that Tajuru Stalwart goes up in value now, and you're actually seriously considering, Teamer or Jund, one of these 3-color or more color combinations.
I literally had we have no idea what's in these packs. That's hysterical. Is he feeling? He doesn't look like he's feeling much better. He still looks a little sick about it, but
I think that went a long way toward.
There is another Ugins Insight.
Okay, I like it.
There's also a Mist Intruder in the pack. Dampening Pulse, which if you're setting up to be a control-y deck, but you got to take the Ugins Insight.
Oh yeah, I'm slamming that Ugins Insight here, and I'm looking toward maybe just blue-red, but I think maybe splashing green.
What about Grixis? He's also has the Rising Miasma.
That's a good point. He could be like a Grixis control deck, although some of the better Converge cards are in green, so you have to be considering that also.
Dampening Pulse. Okay, now he flipped a couple blue cards to the front, but I think maybe that was like, how likely are these to come back?
Yeah, Dampening Pulse is a card I like to have in my sideboard. I'll almost never start it, but it is quite good against some decks.
So he's got the card draw down. He's got the board sweepers down. Now he just has to find his board.
Pilgrim's Eye, I see there, and Evolving Wilds, if he wants to go for this sort of Converge plan. I like Pilgrim's Eye a lot.
There's also a Kozilek Sentinel.
Oh, that's a great card for his deck,
There's
too.
also a Mercstrider in there if he thinks he's going to get his Ingest on.
Yeah, I think it might be a little ambitious, given what he has so far, to go into an Ingest process deck.
Yeah. So he takes Kozilek Sentinel.
Kozilek Sentinel. Yeah, I like that a lot. It's a good defensive creature. It's a little bit more conservative than going with the Pilgrim's Eye or Evolving Wilds.
It also asks your opponent to sometimes go wide to get around it, which plays into your Rising Miasma and your Radiant Flames.
Yeah, great point.
Oh, but he gets past it to Juru Warcaller.
Yeah, probably the best green common, many think. Although it is double green, so it would be really hard to play in his deck. I doubt he's going to go for that pick here, given how conservative he's been on previous ones.
Okay, he takes Ruin Processor.
Okay.
Gets the occasionally Palaka Worm-like Ruin Processor.
Is that another Evolving Wilds that I see?
No, that...
Or was it a Blighted Land?
Yeah, it was Blighted Fan. He's looking at the Herald of Kozilek here.
Oh, yeah, that's great for his deck. Okay, things are really shaping up for him here. He's gotten, he's stuck to his guns with blue-red. He hasn't been tempted to kind of go off course and build this multicolor Converge deck.
How is Ugins Insight not colorless? How is Ugins Insight not devoid?
Well, everything in the set that has devoid is Eldrazi aligned. Ugin is very much on the opposite side of the Eldrazi here in the story.
Flavor reasons.
It's actually Jace receiving Ugin's Insight.
No, of course. So there's another Kozilek Sentinel. He's going to be able to sort of turtle up here pretty well.
That Kozilek Sentinel, this is awesome. Things are going really well this pack for Paulo. He's got to be pretty excited to get back on track here.
Yeah.
And this is the style of blue-red deck. You asked me earlier, what kind of blue-red deck do I like to have? Defensive creatures, 2 drops, a curve, and powerful late-game cards like Ugin's
one
Insight.
big dumb Eldrazi to wrap it up, mop it up. So he's got another McKindy Slide Runner here. What's the card he's got up front? Oh, that was can't see what. that a retreat to Valakut in the pack?
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Which is a powerful card, but
not
not
a
for
card
his
he
deck.
can play. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the multicolored card there was the black-green rare. The name escapes me right now, but Brood Butcher, I think.
Okay. So another. Oh yeah, it was Brood Butcher. Another Wavewing Elemental. Looking at that natural connection, thinking maybe, but I think if he was playing green, it's the splash. He's probably going to splash black in this deck, I think. Onto Champion.
Yeah, I think that's the pick here.
Yeah.
Just some solid creatures to round out the curve. Yeah, it's interesting. I'll be curious to see if he ends up splashing in this deck. I think.
He might. Yeah, he actually. Even as I said, I was like, well, you know what? He might not need to.
Yeah, he might not need to, first of all, and second, he's eschewed a lot of the mana fixing that's gone by him.
Right.
Of course, in favor of powerful cards that fit his deck well, but
to some extent, the two Ugin's Insights become, mana fixing-ish.
yeah, that's fair.
Takes a Snapping Gnarlid.
And he does have a few solid green cards, too. I would love to see him pick up an Evolving Wilds. Oh, there's a Tajuru Stalwart. The Converge 3/4 for 3 if things are going well for you.
I mean, if it's a 3/4 for 3 on turn 3, things are going very well for you.
Yeah.
All right, so that was a great second pack for Paulo
Definitely.
there.
Things shaped up a lot for him there. He's got a couple, marginal cards that he maybe isn't super happy playing, like a pair of Wavewing Elementals, and just some kind of doofy creatures, in the 4-drop slot. But if he needs to round out his curve, they're there for him.
Right. He's looking at the Belligerent Whiptail. He's looking at maybe the second Wavewing Elemental and thinking like he'd like to replace those with some other cards here in this third pack, right?
Right. But given how the first pack went for him, I think he's just happy to have depth of playables if he needs them. Because, if things stay true to the way pack 1 went, pack 3, he may be scrambling a little bit for playables here.
Thinking about Boiling Earth actually in the main too.
Yeah, I think that's totally reasonable. I mean, it's a 6-mana 4/4 when you need it to.
If he can find a way to get the green, he's got 2 Stalwarts that can actually hold up the ground pretty well too.
Yeah, and I do like that plan quite a bit. As I've said, I've drafted quite a few Teamer 3-color Converge decks, but you do need the mana fixing if you want to do that. So something like Evolving Wilds or Pilgrim's Eye would really be key if he wants to pursue that strategy. Touch the Void.
Yeah, I saw Touch of the Void. I think I also...
a Stone Fury,
There's also
too.
a Stone Fury.
Okay, so we get to see Paulo's opinion on this here. I like
There's
Touch
also
of the
Bane
Void.
of Balagetta in the pack.
Okay, that's a card I like quite a bit. I would go with the Touch of the Void here, though, and part of the reason for that is he does have the Ruin Processor.
Yeah.
And even just having a couple ways to exile a card here and there goes really well with Ruin Processor.
Yeah, and that's the way he went. I struggle to not play that card at the end of my opponent's turn.
Yeah, right.
Don't do that. It's a sorcery. By the way, he passed another Rising Miasma in that pack.
There's a Royal Spout, not for him, but very powerful card.
Firemantle Mage, Valakut Predator.
I like Valakut Predator. It's not a perfect fit for his deck, but it's just a good creature that I'd like to play in any deck.
He is going to play a lot of land and looking to make a land drop every turn. He's got the Ugin's Insight to keep his land drops going.
And there's a Slide Runner as well, though I think he's fairly set on 2-drops with Tuco's Lex Sentinels. I think he'll go for the more powerful Valakut's Predator, and he does.
Sweet Kev Walker art. So it looks like a Nettle Drone.
Yeah, Nettle Drone's great. I also like Horribly Awry a lot. It often serves as a 2-drop. Just counter your opponent's first play. But I think Nettle Sentinel is probably a stronger card overall, unless he feels he needs something else to do on turn 2.
Yep, and that's the way he goes. None of the crazy devoid cards that you really look for here, like a Vile Aggregate, or there's another Nettle Drone, though. That card can get out of hand. And another Radiant
Wow.
Flames. Oh my gosh.
That is awesome.
Stone Fury, Radiant Flames, Nettle Drone. It's like an embarrassment of riches in this pack for Paulo.
Yeah, it's so different from pack 1.
Should not have passed the Clockwork Librarian.
So I'm
Wow.
Wow.
He takes Nettle Drone.
okay. That is discipline there. I would definitely be slamming the Radiant Flames and maybe splashing a third color now, just basic forest or something. But yeah, I mean that fits with his game plan. It's a little bit more consistent. He has Nettle Drones already. Shatterskull Recruiter. There's an Anticipate there too. I'm not sure how fond of Anticipate Paulo is. It looks like not very, given that he hasn't. Oh, okay. There, he's pulling it to the front.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Recruit here. He's also looking at the Goblin War Paint.
That's interesting to me.
Maybe he was just trolling us.
Or maybe just grouping all the cards in one color. I have seen some good Goblin Warpaint decks in this format. Often going on cheap flyers.
There's another Kozilek Sentinel. There's also a Mist Intruder in the pack. There's also a Rune Processor in the pack.
Kozilek Sentinel's got to be what he wants here. It's perfect. So now he's up to triple Kozilek Sentinel, triple Nettle Drone, right?
Yeah.
That is an awesome start to your curve in a blue-red Devoid deck. And he's got the power late game with double Ugin's Insight and a Radiant Flames if he needs it. Wow, a fourth Kozilek Sentinel. This is just from rags to riches for Paulo as far as the way this draft played out.
He's looking at that Incubator Drone.
Yeah, Incubator Drone's okay. But Kozilek Sentinel, I mean, just
There it
what
is.
you need. Quality
Yeah.
2-drop. Great way to start any game. Loving it.
Picks up his 16th point of toughness out of the 2 slot.
Plated Crusher still in the pack, a card I like quite a bit.
Yeah, I was surprised to see how high a lot of teams had that card.
Yeah, it's just very difficult to deal with, and Trample is a big deal in this format with all the Scions and small allies cluttering up the ground. A Sure Strike. Yeah, I think
It's a
that's
nice
solid.
card. Your opponent thinks maybe they're going to deal with, you attack with your Nettle Drone and a couple other creatures, and they think maybe they can finally get rid of your Nettle Drone and you first strike it.
Yep.
The Rising Miasma came back around the table out of his opening pack. He's like, yeah, you know what? I'm not leaving. Even if I'm not going to play either of them, I'm just not leaving that in here at this point.
Wow. That's strange to still be there. Another Plated Crusher or a Belligerent Whiptail.
Yeah, he takes a card he could conceivably play.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he is as far as a playable count, but that is a card that might
Take
make the
that
cut.
Volcanic Upheaval. You might want to counter a Planar Outburst. Nope. He's like, I don't care. Takes Angelic Gift.
Ooh, takes the Goblin Warpaint over the Giant Mantis. Indicating maybe he wants that option post sideboard.
All right. So blue-red, 2 copies of Ugin's Insight, a Radiant Flames, a little, some decent removal, a handful of Nettle Sentinels, a handful of Nettle Drone, sorry, and Kozilek Sentinels. Give me a grade for this deck, Ian Duke.
I'm going to say B+. I think it started out, pack 1 was like a C-.
Okay.
He was really in desperate straits there, but things really turned around for him, and I think those 2 Ugin's Insights and the nice curve are really what defines this deck.
And how would you grade how he drafted in the seat? Like, how would you grade his navigating those waters?
Probably an A-. I think. I think it was really well done, very instructional. Things were looking super rocky for him after pack 1, and he stuck to his guns. I like the decision, just like, I'm going to stay 2 colors. I'm going to, stick to what my deck is supposed to be about, and it really paid off for him. So that was great.
Yeah, I'm eager to hear, the thing that was really interesting to me is somewhere in the middle of the pack, he took a Rising Miasma, he took a Catacomb Sifter.
Yeah.
In the middle of pack 1, he's like, well, maybe Black-Green's open. It wasn't.
Right.
And he went right back to it, even though the cards he was taking to stay in red-blue were, really pretty mediocre through the back of pack one. And I thought that was very disciplined.
I think he had the right mix of like trying to stay a little bit flexible early on, but then realizing when that wasn't working out for him and just kind of shifting back in and then staying focused for the rest of the draft. There comes that point toward the middle or end of pack one where you just have to commit and just go with what you've got. And I think he did a really nice job realizing where that was.
Do you think that'll be a 3-color deck or a 2-color deck?
Two-color deck.
You think he'll just be blue-red? No.
Yeah, I do think so. I mean, there's option. I think had he taken the second Radiant Flames, there's option to like splash in a couple forests game 2 against an aggressive deck or something. But I think the way that he drafted it very much indicated to me that he wanted to stay 2 colors.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ian Duke. This is Brian David Marshall. We're going to send it back to the news desk where there's a draft that you might be a little interested in seeing how it plays out. So sending it back.
I had no idea that Ian Duke was so interested in Guillaume Merriam. But there we are. Now, one thing you can do, if you do the ooh test on a draft, you watch people draft and you see them open a pack and you go in your head, oh, look at that. That happened a lot for Ian and BDM watching Paulo. It's like drafting away. Yeah, he's got some right there. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. A lot of those cards went into Paulo's pile. Good news for Brazil fans. Now, of course, Guillaume Merriam is in that mix, but I think Ian Duke might be rather more interested in every pick of every pack of his brother. So why don't we find out what Reed Duke did in the company of Randy Buehler and Marshall Sutcliffe.